Looking for nerdy news? You're in the right place.
Great. This guy's gonna be late again.
This is the Nerdy News Rundown.
I got plenty of time.
On today's show, Infinity War. Does Iron Man have the Soul Stone? DCEU. The Flashpoint movie is happening and has directors. Dragon Ball Super. The latest episode was dope, but was it really that dope? We're going over all of that and your questions.
I'm gonna be late!
I'm your host, Josh Lucas, broadcasting live from Uncanny in the King of Prussia Mall, Philadelphia. Let's get this show started. Oh man, oh man, oh man. What is up, all of you beautiful nerds around the world? It's the Nerdy News Rundown. Oh, it's a Monday. I feel like we're not going to hit that noon o'clock upload time because I was running just a little bit behind. So sorry about that if it comes a little bit late, but we've got a bunch of amazing topics to go over today. A lot of fun stuff to get into. I want to, of course, thank Uncanny, as always, for sponsoring the show. They're a great comic book shop. Check them out. 3 locations. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love Uncanny. Oh, by the way, guys, a lot of you have said that you want to come maybe watch the show, hang out, interact. We are working on setting some stuff up where I'm going to actually change the location a little bit and get it a little bit more suited for having a live audience. And I have a meeting with Rob tomorrow where we're going to try to figure out how to do some fun things for people that might come watch the show, including maybe some discounts, some giveaways, and things like that. So check back for more news on that. Real quick, I have to do a shameless plug. I write and edit comic books, and if you could see this shirt that I'm wearing right here, this is for the Cyberpunk Robin Hood comic book that I recently published, kickstarted it last year. Check it out. Shirt's kind of cool. We just put the digital copy of that comic book up for release. I think it's a pretty cool story. So if you're into cyberpunk stuff, if you like Star Wars the way I like Star Wars, you'll be able to see a lot of my influences in the comic book itself. I'm going to link the store where you can purchase the PDF, and the physical books will be going up on that store really soon as well, so I'll let you know about that. But that's my shameless plug for the day. All right, let's get into this first story. Now, this first story is pretty interesting to me. There's been a lot of Avengers Infinity War promotional material being released online. Check this thing out right here. This is official Marvel stuff right here, and it actually has all of the Soul Stones, and they are linked to different characters within the MCU. And the Soul Stone, which is the one in the upper right there, actually has a picture of Iron Man. Now, you can't actually see it very well in that image because I'm terrible and had my logo there. Here, I'll pull it down a little bit so that you guys can check it out. So it has Iron Man right there, if you can see. And this led to a lot of speculation from people. And basically, guys, we don't know where the Soul Stone is. This is kind of a big thing that a lot of people have been talking about. Where is the Soul Stone in the MCU? People thought it was in Wakanda. Ryan Coogler sort of dispelled that theory because, look, he said that they already have vibranium. He didn't want another MacGuffin. And he also said, very interestingly, that Marvel never wanted the Soul Stone to be in Wakanda. So they didn't have any plans to do that, okay? We also know from the Avengers Prelude comic, the Avengers Infinity War Prelude book, that the Soul Stone may well be the most powerful stone that there is. And if you look at that image that I had up just a minute ago of the gauntlet, it is seated right in the middle there. It is that big, big stone right in the middle. And it's basically going to be the most powerful. So because of the promo art that's been going on, people on Reddit have formulated a theory that Iron Man either has the Soul Stone or somehow he is the Soul Stone. And there's a lot of levels to this theory, and I might do a video in depth breaking it all down. But people believe there was this quote in Iron Man 2 where Stark's father said, "My greatest creation ever was you, Tony," talking about his son, of course. And then there's, of course, the chest piece, which was removed in Iron Man 3, and that coil, right, that has somehow found its way back into Tony's chest, seemingly, and a lot of people think that that might be where he is housing the stone. Now, a lot of stuff is sort of wild speculation at this point, but let me tell you kind of what I think's going on or where I am coming from with this. So I do think that Tony will be linked to the Soul Stone, but I do not believe that he is the Soul Stone, or I do not believe that he has the Soul Stone in his chest. I don't think that's what's going on. Here's what I think is happening. I think Tony is going to discover the location of the Soul Stone, and he's going to go there with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because we've seen pictures of the Avengers from Infinity War that will be leaving Earth, going into space, and going somewhere. Now, we know very little about exactly what's going to go on with that, but in that prelude comic that I just mentioned, when Wong is explaining to Doctor Strange about the Soul Stone, there are several planets there that he is looking at. And so I think that they have some kind of an insight to where that stone will be. And I think that they are going to go there, and I think that they are going to get the stone. And how is Tony sort of play into this? How is this going to happen? Well, if you know from comics, there's actually like a world inside the Soul Stone. This is like Adam Warlock spends some time in there. I think he's like trapped in there at one point, actually. But what I think is going to happen is Tony is going to go there and either like die and then enter the soul world, or he's going to like enter the soul world, enter the stone in order to unlock its secrets or to discover how to defeat Thanos. And remember that vision that he has in Avengers Age of Ultron where he sees all of the dead Avengers? I mean, there is clearly something going on with Tony that's, you know, like metaphysical. It's beyond things. It's craziness, right? And so that's sort of my theory. I think that this solves a couple of different problems because you need stakes, and I think that Stark could potentially like die and go into the Soul Stone, or perhaps take the Soul Stone somehow upon dying or be linked to it in that way. Like I said, I might break down some of the things people are talking about on Reddit, but I just don't see Tony like being an Infinity Stone. I mean, that seems a little bit far-fetched to me. And I also think that if he just has the stone in his like chest cavity, I don't know, man. I feel like Thanos will just beat his ass and take it. So I don't know. That doesn't really seem like a viable option for me. But that's the news out there. People are sort of picking apart the promotion as we get closer to Infinity War. I'm pretty excited. I know you guys are excited too. Please let me know in the comment section. Have you heard about this Tony Stark linked to the Soul Stone theory? What do you think is behind it? I mean, have you checked out some of the evidence people are talking about on Reddit and different places? Do you think he could be an Infinity Stone? I mean, that would be super whack, but I guess stranger things have happened. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you guys think about all that in the comment section below. So hit me up there. Okay, now let's get in to our next topic. This has to do with the DC Extended Universe. John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein are the directors and writers of the Flashpoint movie. That movie is indeed moving forward. And if you've checked out any of the articles, any of the news about this story, they all make mention of the troubled past and history of this Flashpoint movie. It's been through a litany of directors. It's had page one rewrites. A lot of problems have followed this Flashpoint movie to the point where people were wondering if it was ever going to happen. Well, it seems as though it will now be happening. These two guys were writers on Spider-Man Homecoming, which is pretty cool. And I don't know. The thing about the Flashpoint movie for me is that it's an interesting opportunity for DC to do a soft reboot of sorts with their extended universe, but there's this looming story of doom and gloom for the DCEU that John Campea has sort of been talking about. By the way, he mentioned that nobody's gotten this news right yet. Nobody knows what it is. So definitely going to be following that to see what the heck is happening with the DCEU. But the Flashpoint movie is sort of a wild card for me because I think that the soft reboot aspect might be a little bit too weird. And honestly, that's probably not what they need right now, considering all of the continuity problems, all of just the problems that they have had with their fan base and their shared universe. they probably just need to do a Flashpoint movie. Like, they haven't necessarily earned the Captain America 3 is actually Avengers 2.5 sort of a thing, right? So if they try to do that and they put Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Superman, all these characters in the Flashpoint movie, I don't know. Like, I just don't know if people could accept it. The comic book story is absolutely amazing, but that story has huge ramifications for its universe. It sort of starts the New 52, right? And it's very elseworldy, right? It really plays off of the pre-established path and character arcs that a lot of these characters have been on. And so the problem with trying to do something like that in a movie is that DC Films has not properly established any of these characters. So, without having them properly established, without having a lot of people bought into them, it's going to be a little weird to sort of elseworld that thing right away again. But look, I'm willing to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They seem really talented. I mean, in general, I'm glad that the movie is happening. I will definitely go check it out. But I mean, my skepticism is pretty high, especially when you consider that bad news that's on the way and just the state of affairs over there at DC. It's sort of hard to get pumped about it, but that is the story. I did want to mention it. Yeah, it's awesome. Apparently, they're going to be writing and directing, but they're technically in negotiations to direct it, so they are just writing it officially, I believe, is what the story is. You can, check me on that, but I believe that's where we're at with that. But I'm very interested to know, guys, what do you think about this? Are you pumped? I mean, do you like the pedigree here? Are you excited that we're going to be getting these guys on the Flashpoint movie? And what do you think of the Flashpoint movie in general, right? Like, what do you think they could do that soft reboot? Are we gonna get like the exit of Batfleck and like Jake Gyllenhaal sort of coming in or whatever? Or you think they're gonna leave all of that alone and just do a Flash movie? I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm pretty interested to hear what you think about all of that in the comment section below. Now, let's get into our third topic of the day, a Star Wars topic, kind of light here, but it was revealed, seemingly so, that the villain of the Han Solo movie has been revealed to us. I'm looking at an article on StarWarsNewsNet.com, and due to some leaks from different toys and different things like that, we are apparently hearing that the Enfys Nest is going to be this guy, this masked dude. That's going to be his name, Enfys Nest. Now, there was some stuff that broke with Nest back in the day. People just thought it was going to be a planet or something like that because there were some images of a speeder, and it was like Nest speeder and stuff like that. So people thought, okay, well, that's probably just a planet or whatnot. But it would appear that it's not the case. Apparently, that's this dude's name, and there's not like too much too clean about it, like it doesn't really give us too much to go on. I mean, I think it's a dope name, and I'm excited to check out this character. And I'm wondering, this group of like gangsters, right? These group of people that have these masks on that, they remind me of the Knights of Ren. I don't know if you guys are getting a similar vibe, but they definitely remind me of a Knights of Ren-esque type thing. So I don't know. I'm interested to learn more about them. Now, getting into the Han Solo movie a little bit, I'm really wondering, do these guys, does this group and does Nest himself have ties to Solo beyond just him being a mark, right? Are they from Corellia? Has he tangled with them when they were younger? Do they all know each other? And the reason I ask this question is because I think this is something they're sort of playing with in the film itself. The Mother of Dragons, Daenerys Targaryen, her character in the film is actually someone that grew up with Han on Corellia. So they sort of have a past, right? And so I'm interested in, is this something thematically that is going to play out, right? Does this guy Nest, does he have ties to the younger Solo? I'm hearing that we're going to get some kind of a time jump in the film that will start on Corellia, show sort of a younger Han, a younger Kira sort of working together, and then jump forward into time and meet Han, when he's hanging out doing his thing, right? And so it would be interesting to know if this Nest character is going to tie into this. As far as Solo itself goes, From what I am hearing, it's a good movie. Like, people really like the movie. It's well put together. It has good villains, good action. It's just a lot of fun. That was something that Donald Glover, when he was spoken to for an interview last week, he said, yeah, it's really, really fun. It's a fun movie. It's a popcorn movie. It's supposed to be really fun. But I am hearing that the Han Solo portrayal himself doesn't exactly nail it, right? It doesn't exactly nail Han Solo. It feels a little bit weird. But if the movie's super solid, that's totally okay. But I wanted to sort of touch on this thing about the Han Solo villain, because I know a lot of you, if you're a Star Wars fan like I am, you've been very interested in this character. I mean, the way he moves on the top of that train, and the whole scene where we see the gun coming out of the holster with Han, and he's about to, boom, shoot this man. It seems really cool. I'm super intrigued by the character. So I wanted to drop this news to you guys. Nest is the character's name. We don't know too much about it. I'll be following this story, though. The more we learn about it, the more I will share with you guys. But let me know in the comments section. I mean, are you anticipating this guy to be one of the best all-time Star Wars villains? I mean, he's got that great look. The design of Star Wars is always so great, right? The villains look so cool. This guy, definitely no exception. He looks dope. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this character and the name, and just in general, what do you think is going on with this Han Solo movie? Definitely interested in hearing all of your thoughts about all of that in the comment section below. Let's get into our fourth topic of the day. This has to do with Dragon Ball Super, and I'm going to get a little ranty here, guys. Now, I know probably many of you do not watch Dragon Ball Super, but I'm sure some of you do. And lately, the episodes have been running the end of the Tournament of Power arc. This has been a really cool arc in the series. It's lasted a long, long time. It's shown a lot of elevation in power, new forms, great battles, all the stuff that we love in Dragon Ball. But I believe that the ending of this arc has sort of been tarnished by the news that the series is actually ending after this arc. And there have been little hints here and there, little signs here and there, that Toei is rushing the end of this arc, and fans are feeling a certain way about it. And so this is something I saw pop up online. It's a hot button topic. People are really, really going into this. They're of two minds when it comes to the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Number one, it hits a lot of the notes that we as Dragon Ball fans absolutely love. People are happy about that. Some people are ecstatic about this episode, and we're like, whoa, this part was so cool. This part was so cool. So macho, so this and that. And then on the other side of that coin, there are a lot of people that are very, very upset with the episode. And I want to talk about that because I'm one of those people. Dragon Ball Super has been not as good of a show as a lot of people are saying. And I think that when it comes to like nostalgia, when it comes to being a fanboy or fangirl of things, we can sort of get blinded to the flaws of the properties and the entertainment that we, ingest. And so I want you guys to remember, Dragon Ball Super was a series that did two meaningless arcs to begin its run that were recapping the movies, except with worse animation and arguably worse storylines. The beginning of the series was kind of laughably bad. And then it's had its ups and downs, just like all animes. But recently, with the news that the series has been ending, they've been doing a lot of weird things. The time frame of the show is really bizarre. Like, they'll do an intro before the intro. Like, literally have a sort of fourth wall-y type breaking where Goku's talking to the audience. You see a little bit of animation from the episode. Then you go into your actual roll of titles and the intro song and all of that. And then you get into the episode and there's even more sort of recap stuff. Man, I'm not even lying. It was about 6 minutes into the episode of 129 before you even begin, really, the episode. And then on top of that, there's all this banked animation. If you don't know what that term means, it means when they animate something and it looks really cool, they'll save it, they bank it, right? And then they'll use it again sparingly instead of reanimating different parts of the show. And look, this happens in all animation shows, anime, even American animation shows. And I understand it. I get it. From a studio perspective, I completely understand it. But considering that this is the end of the arc, the amount of banked animation and like time wasted in this episode was laughable. It was absolutely laughable. It was horrible to see just so much stuff that was repeated, so much stuff that we had already seen that it tarnished the episode for me. And there were great moments. There were great moments in the episode. Moments that literally gave me the feels, hair on my arm standing up, like almost tearing up from some of the stuff that happened. But that only pissed me off more when I thought about it later. Because what that means is I'm so attached to these characters. I'm so attached to this conflict, so attached to what is happening, but not because of the show, because of the history of the series, because of everything that I've invested into it and everything like that. So it sucks that it really feels like Toei doesn't give a shit and is just rushing out the end of the series, not really giving it the time of day, and moving on to their next project. And look, they're doing this movie later in the year. I'm excited about the movie, but I cannot hide my frustrations with Toei, my frustrations with the end of Dragon Ball Super. I literally think that we're being robbed as fans because they don't want to invest the proper time, the proper money to end a series that has a lot of people excited. Like, a lot of people bought into the show. They really, really like it. And it just feels quite frankly bizarre that something that was treated at certain parts with such care and devotion is now being treated with such neglect. So I want to put that out there. If you're a Dragon Ball Super fan, if you've been watching the show, please let me know what you think about this. I'm very interested because I was talking to fans yesterday. Some people are so into the episode, and I get it because it has great moments, super awesome moments. The speech by Vegeta was awesome when Beerus just says, "Shut up and watch." I mean, there's so much stuff that I love, but man, that banked animation, the fact that you cut out 6 minutes of a 22-minute episode, they're just barely even doing this arc, and it's frustrating. The new form from Goku is sweet, but it doesn't do it. It doesn't make up for all of the flaws that the show has. So that's just my opinion, but I am interested to know what everybody else thinks about that. Hit me up in the comment section below about it, all right? Now, let's transition into some fan questions. The first one comes to us from Brian DeLuca, who asked me, is Winter Soldier the White Wolf in the MCU now? And I thought this was a pretty interesting question, so I wanted to get into it. He's referencing the end of Black Panther in the post-credit scenes where we see Bucky Barnes come out of the hut, and then they call him the White Wolf. I believe it's the children that refer to him as the White Wolf. And so people are wondering, like, is Bucky going to be the White Wolf now in Marvel Cinematic Universe? And so here's the thing. So the White Wolf was a character. He is a white dude. His parents sort of die in a plane crash. So I'm very Danny Rand-like, right? So he's like he could call him like the Danny Rand of Wakanda. And King T'Challa sort of adopts him. I think it was T'Chaka actually adopts him. And then he grows up as the brother of T'Challa. And so this is an interesting character. He has the Black Panther suit, but it's white and everything like that. And so there is part of that story that I think is going to be sort of adopted by Bucky Barnes. But I think Bucky's path is clearly going to be to take over the Captain America role. But what I think is going to happen is he will sort of be a White Wolf in the MCU for a second. And in the Infinity War, at least part one, he will be White Wolf. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to be sort of in charge of security or maybe just muscle in Wakanda. Because, I mean, Bucky's military. He's, got the serum in him. He's got the metal arm training. He's an absolute beast, right? He can really mess some stuff up. And so I do think that it will be sort of adopted into Wakanda the same way that the White Wolf was, which, by the way, is going to be way more like realistic and acceptable because Wakanda has opened its doors up to the rest of the world. And so in that context, Bucky being there as the White Wolf in charge of security, it makes a lot of sense. So I think that is the way that it's going to go. But I don't think he's like permanently going to hold the mantle of White Wolf. I think he's going to be Captain America. In fact, not to get too spoilery on everybody here, but, like, I'm 100% sure he's taking over for Captain America. There are interviews back in the day from Sebastian Stan where he's literally talking about how Marvel was like, well, this is going to happen, and then you're going to be Captain America. That's the plan, right? And so, man, that's crazy. Also, if you notice, he's the cloth that he's wearing in the post-credit scene for Black Panther is very reminiscent of Captain America from the Earth X comic book series. So it's like a flag. It's got the red, white, and blue literally sort of draped over him. It's a nice little Easter egg, but yeah, that's Captain America from the Age of X, alternate sort of Elseworld comic book series. I thought that was very, very cool. But I wanted to thank Brian for the question. Yeah, it's a fair question. It's pretty interesting stuff. What do you guys think about all of that? Answer that in the comment section below. All right, let's get to the last fan question of the day. This one comes to us from Skydarthic, which, maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. But the question is, do you believe that because of the Star Wars Rebels time travel idea, this could literally be the plot of the new series that is going to be made by Rian Johnson or this guy who directed the Rebels animated series? Because every watcher of Star Wars wondered, what if? And through time travel, there would be an explanation for each possible outcome to explore in different episodes, also allowing this alternate universe or how it's caused to play a role. So this is an interesting question. If you don't know what we're talking about here, we're talking about time travel in Star Wars Rebels. It's totally a thing, right? It happened. That's Winston. Say hi to Winston, everybody. So it happened. It was a cool thing. So the time travel thing itself, I know a lot of people have questions about it. I got questions on Nerds Talk Star Wars on Sunday. People were very interested about this. Is this going to play a role in the future? Is this possibly what's going to be talked about in Ryan's trilogy, or maybe in the new show, or the Dan and Dave films? And I had James on Sunday, and we're both kind of we're of the same thought about this. I don't think so. I think it's going to be pretty off limits, right? I think that, and if you even look at the way they handled it in the episode, it's this very interesting way of doing time travel in which, like, you can't really affect the past. Ezra sort of always went into that temple. He always took Ahsoka out of that equation. It's a constant flow of time. And so what happens in the living force, what happens in our time, is set in stone. Like, the ink is dry, as they would say in Game of Thrones, right? So I just don't think that we're going to be messing with that too much. It's a nice little thing to have in Star Wars, and like for fan fiction and different fan theories and different things like that. It is pretty stinking cool to contemplate. However, I really don't think it's going to play a role moving forward. I think that we will see it again in stories in Star Wars, but sort of maybe down the line. And remember, everything sort of runs through the story group, so it'd have to be something they're down with. And I think you want to get it sort of away from the main saga films. And I know where your head's at, because Ryan's new film, we really don't know too much about it, right? Because it's supposed to cover a place in Star Wars we've never explored before. So I'm kind of thinking, Outer Rim / unknown regions. I think that's where we're going to go with Ryan. But I don't think trust me, Ryan is no holds bar when it comes to messing with, conventional ideas within Star Wars. But I don't think even he wants to do time travel, even though, you look at Looper, he handled it so well in that movie. But the crux of that story is time travel, right? So to answer your question, no, I really don't think that it's going to be used as a device anytime soon. If it is, I want Dave to do it. I want Dave Filoni to do it. And so maybe the new animated series could talk about it slightly. Maybe an Ahsoka book could maybe talk about it slightly. But no, I don't think it's going to be used for a story. I don't think it's going to be used in films anytime soon. It's, it was a risk. It was a risk for them to do that. And it worked out then. People seem to really like it. I haven't heard too much about people being upset about it. It was handled tactfully and doesn't have a lot of impact on the main story. And like I said, the way that it happened was such that you cannot just do it, because Ezra always pulled her out. And so if they were to try to go mess with stuff in time, then it would have sort of always happened. And so the only way they can do it is by explaining things that already exist in canon. And I don't know. I think if you get too weird with that, it's gonna mess with people. So that's me. But thank you very much for the question. I do appreciate it. Please put your questions in the comment section down below, guys. I want to talk about what you want to talk about, and I'm more than willing to do that. So hit me up with some cool questions. We'll go over that. Like I said, guys, I'm going to link the store where you can get the digital copy of my comic book, which is a cyberpunk Robin Hood book called Robin Hood's Eon's Edge. We worked really hard on this. We have an incredible creative team, like high caliber people, high colorist, pencils and inks by Stephen Millage, my brother from another mother. You have Zach Sam on letters. I mean, it's professional grade. I stand behind that. So if you're interested, click the link, check out the book, and let me know what you think about it. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. And even though I just said I'm going to say it again, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.